Human held the alien girl as her skin began to glow, a reaction scientists said should be impossible. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to our main characters. Jake had always lived an ordinary life, nothing too special, just a regular guy working at a local tech company. His days were spent troubleshooting gadgets, answering calls, and sitting behind his desk. It was routine. The world around him never really felt like it had anything extraordinary to offer. That was until one day, his life changed forever. A strange, almost mystical event pulled him into a world he never imagined existed. It all started when he was on a routine hike in the nearby forest, an escape from the monotony of work. Jake, always the curious one, decided to explore a hidden part of the woods that he'd never noticed before. As he ventured deeper, he stumbled upon something that seemed almost too fantastical to be real but glowing, greenish-blue light emerging from a crack in the ground. Intrigued, he knelt closer, peering into the shimmering light. That's when he saw her. She was lying there, partially covered in moss and leaves, her skin glowing with an otherworldly hue. At first, Jake froze. He had no idea what he was looking at, but something in him told him to help. Without thinking, he reached down, carefully lifting her into his arms. The moment his hands made contact with her, he felt a surge of energy run through him. Her skin felt warm to the touch, but there was something else. It was like an electric pulse, a faint hum beneath her skin. He wasn't sure what was happening, but the sensation was unlike anything he'd ever felt. As he held her, her skin began to glow even brighter, and for a moment, Jake thought he was dreaming. The glow intensified as if reacting to his touch, flickering like a dimming light before growing brighter again. In that moment, Jake had no idea that what was happening in his arms should be scientifically impossible. The glow, the pulse, the very connection he felt, it defied everything science had ever taught him. How could someone's skin glow like that? How could a human touch trigger such an unbelievable reaction? He was just a regular guy. He had no training in alien biology or physics. Yet here he was, holding this mysterious girl, and her glowing skin was now casting light across the forest floor, making everything around them look surreal. Scientists, if they ever knew about this moment, would certainly say that it should be impossible. But in Jake's arms, it felt very, very real. The girl's eyes fluttered open, revealing an intense, almost ancient wisdom in her gaze. She looked up at him, clearly confused, but there was a flicker of recognition. She didn't speak at first, only gazing at him as though trying to make sense of the situation. For a brief second, their eyes locked, and Jake felt a strange pull, a deep connection that seemed to transcend understanding. Her skin, still glowing softly, continued to hum with a faint energy. Jake's heartbeat quickened as he tried to figure out what was going on. He had no answers. All he knew was that this moment, this impossible moment, was about to change everything for him. And it was only just beginning. I held her in my arms, still unsure what to do, the girl's glowing skin now dimming slightly as if the energy was fading. She blinked and finally spoke, her voice soft and melodic, yet filled with an alien resonance that felt strangely familiar. "Who are you?" she asked, her eyes scanning my face as if searching for something. Her voice wasn't what I expected. It was clear, direct, and surprisingly human in tone, though there was an underlying cadence to it that was otherworldly. "I'm Jake," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "Just a guy who stumbled upon you." She seemed to absorb my words with a deep intensity, and I couldn't help but feel that there was something ancient in her gaze, something that seemed to know far more than it let on. "Jake," she repeated, her voice a soft whisper. "You're human?" Her confusion was palpable, and I couldn't blame her. Who wouldn't be confused if they were suddenly pulled from an unknown world into the arms of a stranger in the middle of a forest? I nodded slowly, trying to offer reassurance. "Yes, I'm human." "And you, where did you come from?" She hesitated, as if weighing her words carefully. I don't know, she said finally. I was lost. I don't remember how I got here. Her words sent a chill down my spine. She was lost. Completely lost. But what did that even mean? How could someone just appear like this? I glanced around the woods, trying to ground myself in the reality of the situation, but everything seemed so much more surreal now. The glowing light was gone, and the forest around us was eerily still. My mind raced with questions, but there was one thing I needed to know, one thing that stood out above all else. What exactly was she? Are you, like me? I asked, my voice faltering slightly. Or, are you something else? She blinked again, her expression a mix of confusion and wonder. I'm not like you, Jake, she said. I am different. I don't know how, but I feel it. I don't belong here. Her words hung in the air, heavier than the silence that followed. I swallowed hard, trying to make sense of the impossible situation. Then where are you from? I asked softly. Her eyes met mine with a strange, almost knowing look. I'm not sure. But I think I was always meant to find you. Her words took me by surprise, and I found myself momentarily lost in the weight of what she had said. Was this some kind of cosmic coincidence? Or was there something else at play here, something bigger than either of us? As I held her, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the brink of discovering something far greater than anything I could have imagined. I wanted to understand her, to help her, but at the same time, a deep, inexplicable pull urged me to keep my distance. There was something about her energy, the way she glowed and hummed with a life force that was unlike anything I had ever felt, that made me wonder what I had really gotten myself into. She shifted in my arms, and I was suddenly aware of how close we were. The warmth of her skin, the softness of her touch, sent a current of electricity through me, reminding me that this moment was far from ordinary. What do you think I should do? I asked, unsure of what else to say. She met my gaze again, her silver eyes reflecting the fading light of the day. I don't know, she murmured. But I think I need you. Her words were simple, but they held a depth that made my heart skip a beat. I wasn't sure what it meant yet, but I knew one thing: this was only the beginning. We were connected in some inexplicable way, and no matter how strange or impossible it seemed, I had a feeling that our paths were intertwined in a way neither of us could escape. I stood there for a moment, holding Lyra in my arms, the weight of her words still lingering in the air. I need you, she had said. Those simple words felt like a heavy responsibility, but also a strange sense of connection. Her silver eyes were intense, almost glowing in the dimming light, and I could feel the tension in the air between us. I had no idea what was happening or why she had appeared in front of me, but one thing was certain: I couldn't just walk away. What do you mean? I asked, my voice quieter than I intended. Her gaze softened slightly, though the mystery in her eyes remained. I don't know how to explain it, she said. But I feel something. Like I was supposed to find you. There was a sense of vulnerability in her voice that I hadn't expected. The glowing skin, the strange energy I had felt when I first touched her, all of it now seemed to hold more meaning. This wasn't just some freak accident. I didn't know what it was, but there was something deeper connecting us, something beyond simple coincidence. Where do we go from here? I asked, still unsure of what to do, but feeling more and more like I had to help her. She didn't answer right away, and for a moment, all I could hear was the rustling of leaves in the wind. It was as if the world around us had slowed down, and the weight of the moment hung in the air. She took a step back, her glowing skin still casting a soft light, though now it seemed to be dimming a little. I think we need to find out what's happening to me, she said, her voice tinged with uncertainty. I don't understand any of this. The glowing, the energy, it feels like it's part of who I am, but it's also something I don't control. I nodded, my mind racing with 1,000 questions. What was she? Where was she from? How could her body do something so unnatural? But there was no time for those questions now. There was only one thing I knew for sure: I needed to help her. I'll help you, I said, almost without thinking. We'll figure this out together. She looked at me for a long moment, and I could see a flicker of something in her eyes. It was gratitude, maybe, or trust. But it was clear she wasn't used to relying on anyone. "Thank you, Jake," she whispered. "You don't know how much this means to me." I tried to smile, but I wasn't sure if I was comforting her or reassuring myself. The truth was, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know what it meant to help her, or how we could even begin to understand what was happening to her. But I knew one thing: there was no turning back now. We were in this together. "Let's get you to a safe place," I said, gently guiding her forward. We walked in silence, the evening air growing colder as we moved deeper into the woods. The world felt different now, like everything had shifted, and I was seeing it through new eyes. With each step, I could feel the weight of what was happening growing heavier. Whatever Lyra was, whatever this connection was between us, it was more than I could understand. But I wasn't going to leave her alone. Not now. Not after everything that had happened. We walked for what felt like hours, though it was only a matter of minutes. My mind kept racing, trying to piece together the puzzle. The energy, the glowing skin, the way she seemed to respond to me. It didn't make sense, but it felt like it was meant to be. As we approached the edge of the woods, I turned to her again. "Do you have anywhere to go?" I asked, though I wasn't sure what I was expecting her to say. She shook her head slowly. "I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I don't know anything about my past. I just woke up here, and you were the first person I saw." Her words hit me harder than I expected. She was lost, in every sense of the word. "You're not alone," I said, more to myself than to her. "We'll figure this out. Together." She smiled faintly, the glowing light of her skin flickering again, as if to match the uncertain hope that was growing inside me. Whatever lay ahead, we would face it together. I could feel the weight of the situation pressing on me as we continued our walk through the woods. Lyra had grown quieter, her glowing skin now dimming to a soft shimmer. I could tell she was still processing everything, just like I was. But there was something in her eyes, something that told me she was struggling with more than just the mystery of her own existence. She had been dropped into this world, without warning, without explanation, and now she was looking to me for answers that I didn't have. "Jake," she said, breaking the silence. Her voice was quiet, almost hesitant. "Do you think I'm dangerous?" The question caught me off guard. I stopped walking, turning to face her. Her eyes were wide, searching mine for some kind of reassurance. I didn't know how to answer. "Dangerous?" I repeated, my mind racing. "I don't think you're dangerous, Lyra. I think you're just lost." She looked down at her hands, the faint glow still lingering in her skin. "But what if I hurt you? What if I hurt someone else?" There was a tremor in her voice now, a vulnerability that she couldn't hide. I stepped closer, instinctively reaching out to her, but I hesitated. I didn't want to make things worse. "I don't think you're capable of hurting anyone, Lyra. I think you just don't understand what's happening to you. And I don't either. But we'll figure it out." She nodded slowly, her shoulders relaxing just a little. "Thank you," she whispered, almost as if she was speaking to herself more than to me. We continued walking, the forest around us growing darker as the sun dipped below the horizon. The path ahead was uncertain, but something about Lyra's presence, even with all the questions and confusion, made me feel like we were on the right track. As we reached the edge of the woods, we came upon a small cabin nestled between the trees. It was simple, secluded, and the kind of place that felt like it could offer some safety and privacy. I had no idea how long we'd been walking, but the night had fallen quickly. "This is where we'll stay for now," I said, gesturing to the cabin. Lyra looked at it with a mixture of curiosity and relief. "It's peaceful," she said, her voice soft. I smiled, though it didn't feel quite right. "It's simple. But it'll do for now." We made our way inside, the quiet of the cabin settling over us like a comforting blanket. The warmth from the small fire in the corner filled the room, casting long shadows on the wooden walls. I could see Lyra's face more clearly now, the glow from her skin reflecting the firelight in a soft, ethereal way. I sat down near the fire, watching her as she took a seat across from me. She seemed to relax a little, though her eyes were still wide with uncertainty. "What now?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. I didn't have an answer. The truth was, I had no idea what to do next. We were both in unknown territory, and the road ahead was just as unclear as the path that brought us here. But one thing was certain: I couldn't leave her. Not now. Not after everything. "We'll figure it out," I said, though I wasn't sure if I was reassuring her or myself. "Together." She nodded, her eyes softening as she gazed at me. And for the first time since we had met, I saw a flicker of hope in her expression. Whatever this connection between us was, whatever the truth of her glowing skin and her mysterious presence, we would face it together. I wasn't sure what the future held, but in that moment, with her sitting across from me in the warmth of the firelight, I knew we had taken the first step towards something bigger than both of us. I woke up to the sound of soft rustling by the fire, the flickering light casting long shadows on the wooden walls of the cabin. Lyra was sitting near the window, her glowing skin barely visible in the dim light. She wasn't moving, just staring out into the night, lost in thought. I rubbed my eyes, trying to shake off the remnants of sleep, and stood up. "Hey," I said quietly, not wanting to startle her. She turned toward me, her silver eyes meeting mine. "Are you all right?" I asked, walking over to where she sat. She nodded slowly, but I could see the uncertainty still in her expression. "I'm just thinking," she replied softly. "About what's happening to me. About what I am." I sat down beside her, the silence stretching between us. The fire crackled softly, its warmth filling the room. "You're not alone in this," I said after a moment, my voice steady despite the swirl of questions in my own mind. "I know it feels like everything's out of control right now, but we'll figure it out." She turned to face me, her eyes searching mine, as if looking for something, maybe reassurance, maybe hope. "But what if I can't control it?" she whispered. "What if I hurt you? What if I hurt someone else?" The fear in her voice was undeniable, and I could see that beneath her calm exterior, she was struggling with more than just the mystery of her powers. I reached out and gently touched her hand. "We don't know what's happening yet. But we'll figure it out together. We'll take it one step at a time." She looked at me, her lips trembling as she gave a small nod. "Thank you, Jake. I don't know why I'm so afraid, but I am." I squeezed her hand, offering what comfort I could. "It's okay to be scared," I said softly. "You've been through a lot. But you're not alone. You have me." She gave a faint smile, her eyes softening. "I never thought I'd find someone like you," she murmured. "I never thought I'd find someone who would help me." My heart skipped a beat at her words, and for a moment, I didn't know what to say. There was so much more to this connection between us than I had expected. It was more than just the strange energy I felt when I touched her or the mystery surrounding her powers. It was the way she looked at me, the way she trusted me despite not knowing who I was or where she came from. "You don't have to thank me," I said finally, my voice quiet. "I'm just doing what anyone would do if they were in my shoes." She shook her head slightly. "No, Jake. You're more than just anyone. You're the one who's been there for me when no one else has. And that means everything to me." Her words made my chest tighten, and I couldn't help but feel the weight of them. I had no idea what the future held or what would happen next. But in that moment, with her sitting beside me, her hand in mine, I knew one thing for sure: we were in this together. And no matter what came next, I wasn't going to leave her. The night stretched on, and the two of us stayed there in silence, comforted by each other's presence. The world outside felt distant, like it no longer mattered. We had found something real and deep. And that was enough for now. I woke up to the sound of birds chirping outside, the early morning light filtering through the small cracks in the cabin's wooden walls. I stretched, my muscles sore from the long hours of restless sleep, but the weight on my chest wasn't just physical. Lyra was still asleep beside the fire, her glowing skin faintly illuminating the room, a soft shimmer in the darkness. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was changing. The air felt charged with possibility, but also uncertainty. As I got up and made my way to the small kitchen area, I looked over at her, wondering what she was thinking. Her appearance, the glowing skin, her strange powers, they still didn't make sense, but it wasn't just that. It was the way she looked at me, the trust she had placed in me without knowing anything about who I really was. It was something I hadn't expected, but something I couldn't ignore. I set to work on making breakfast, my mind running in circles as I thought about what came next. We couldn't stay here forever, but we couldn't keep running, either. There had to be answers. And I was determined to find them. Lyra stirred from her sleep as I was preparing a simple meal. Her eyes fluttered open, and for a moment, she just stared at me, as if unsure where she was. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft, almost hesitant. "Jake," she asked, her eyes searching mine. I turned and smiled. "Yeah, it's me," I said, keeping my tone light, though my heart was pounding. "You feeling all right?" She nodded slowly, sitting up, her body language still guarded. "I think so. I just feel strange. Like something's different." I set down the pan and walked over to where she sat. "Different how?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, even though a part of me was just as unsure as she was. She hesitated, her gaze drifting down to her glowing skin. "It's like I can feel it, you know? The glow. The energy. It's a part of me, but I don't understand it." I knelt down in front of her, meeting her eyes. "We'll figure it out, Lyra. I promise." She looked at me for a long moment, her silver eyes searching mine, as if looking for something. Finally, she gave a small nod. "Thank you, Jake. I don't know why you're helping me, but I'm glad you are." I smiled, though I could feel the weight of her words. It wasn't just gratitude. There was something deeper in her voice. And I didn't know how to respond to that. But I knew one thing, no matter what was happening to her, I wasn't going to turn my back on her. "I told you," I said, my voice steady. "You're not alone in this." She smiled faintly, the glow in her skin softening for a moment, as if her own fears were beginning to fade. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of everything hanging between us. It wasn't just about the strange powers she had or the mysterious connection we shared, it was about the unknown. What was she? Where did she come from? And why was she here? The questions pressed on me, but I couldn't bring myself to voice them. Not yet. For now, there was only Lyra, sitting beside me in the quiet of the cabin. And that was enough. As we finished breakfast, the weight of the day ahead started to settle in. I knew we couldn't stay in the cabin forever. There was a whole world out there, and I had no idea what dangers or answers it held for us. But I also knew that I wasn't going to leave her side. Not now, not ever. Whatever this was, whatever connection we had, it was real. And together, we would face whatever came next. I woke up early. The next morning, the chill of the air seeping through the cracks of the cabin. The fire from last night had died down, leaving only the soft glow of the embers. I stretched, still feeling the weight of the night's conversation with Lyra. Despite the uncertainty, there was something about her presence that made the world outside seem less intimidating. She had trusted me, and I had promised to help her. But the reality of the situation was starting to settle in. I wasn't sure what the next step was, but I knew we couldn't stay here forever. As I prepared some breakfast, I glanced over at Lyra. She was sitting near the window again, her glowing skin softly illuminating the room in the dim light of morning. She seemed to be lost in thought, her eyes distant, as if her mind was somewhere far away. I couldn't help but feel a pang of worry for her. She had been through so much, and I couldn't shake the feeling that she was hiding something. Maybe not intentionally, but I could see it in the way she looked at the world, as if she didn't fully belong. I finished making breakfast and brought it over to the small table. Lyra looked up at me, her silver eyes meeting mine. "Morning," I said, trying to sound as normal as possible. "How are you feeling?" She smiled faintly, but there was something unreadable in her expression. "I'm okay," she replied, her voice quieter than usual. "I just keep thinking about last night. About the glow. It felt different. More powerful, almost. I nodded, sitting down across from her. I don't know what's happening, but we'll figure it out, I said, trying to offer some comfort. You're not alone in this. She seemed to relax a little at my words, but there was still a sense of uncertainty in her. I don't know how to control it, she said, her voice tinged with frustration. It feels like it's part of me, but it's also dangerous. What if it gets worse? I reached across the table, gently taking her hand. We'll take it one step at a time, I said. We don't have all the answers, but we have time. And I'm here to help. She squeezed my hand lightly, the faintest hint of a smile appearing on her lips. Thank you, Jake, she whispered. You're the only one who's been there for me. There was a heaviness in her voice that made my chest tighten. I didn't know what to say, but I knew that I couldn't let her down. After breakfast, we sat in silence for a few moments, each of us lost in our thoughts. Finally, I stood up, breaking the quiet. I think we should start looking for answers, I said, my voice steady. We can't stay here forever. We need to figure out what's happening, and how we can help you. Lyra nodded, standing up as well. I know. I just don't know where to start. We'll start with the basics, I said, a plan slowly forming in my mind. We'll find someone who can help us. A scientist, maybe, or someone who understands what's going on with you. She seemed to hesitate for a moment, then nodded. Okay, she said softly. Let's do it. We gathered our things and made our way out of the cabin. The day was cool, but the sun was shining, casting long shadows across the forest floor. As we walked, I could feel the weight of the journey ahead. We had no idea what we were about to face, but one thing was clear, we weren't facing it alone. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. As Lyra and I made our way through the dense woods, the air growing thicker with each step, I couldn't help but glance over my shoulder every now and then. The forest, once calming and serene, now felt heavy with a strange tension. Lyra walked beside me, her glowing skin faint but still present, and her eyes seemed distant, as if lost in her own thoughts. Jake, do you think we're doing the right thing? She asked, her voice soft but full of uncertainty. I turned to her, my steps faltering slightly. I think we're doing what we can. We don't know what's going on with you, but we're trying to find answers, and that's all we can do. She nodded, though her expression didn't shift. I could tell she was still grappling with the unknown. What if the answers are worse than we think? She said quietly. Her words struck me like a cold wave. It was a fear I hadn't allowed myself to acknowledge, the fear that whatever was happening to her, whatever powers she had, could be more dangerous than we understood. I wanted to reassure her, to tell her that everything would be fine, but deep down, I wasn't so sure. I don't know, I admitted. But we'll face it together, no matter what. We continued walking, the path ahead growing more uncertain. The trees were taller here, their branches thick and twisting, creating a canopy that blocked most of the sunlight. The atmosphere felt different, as though something was lurking in the shadows. I was still trying to shake the feeling of being watched when Lyra suddenly stopped. She looked around, her eyes narrowing as she scanned the forest. Jake, do you feel that? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. I stopped and glanced at her, noticing the tense way she stood. Feel what? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she reached out and grabbed my arm, pulling me toward a small clearing. My heart raced as I followed her, not knowing what to expect. When we reached the center of the clearing, Lyra released my arm and stepped forward, her eyes still searching the shadows. There's something here, she said, her voice low. Something familiar. My pulse quickened, and I felt a strange chill run through me. What do you mean, familiar? She didn't answer immediately, but I could see the conflict in her eyes. I don't know. It's like I've been here before. I took a step toward her, my instincts screaming that something wasn't right. Lyra, we should go. We don't know what's out here. But she stood still, as though rooted to the spot. No, Jake, she said, turning to face me. I need to understand. I need to know what this place is. I took a step forward, about to reach for her, when something shifted in the air around us. It was subtle at first, just a faint rustling in the trees, but then it grew louder. The feeling of being watched intensified, and a sudden pressure seemed to settle in the air, thick and suffocating. I turned quickly, scanning the forest. "We're not alone," I said, my voice tight with tension. Lyra didn't respond, her attention focused on something just beyond the trees. The rustling grew louder, and I felt a presence, though I couldn't see anything. "We need to leave now," I said, urgency rising in my voice. But as I moved toward her, Lyra held up her hand, stopping me. "Jake, wait," she whispered. Her voice was filled with something else, something deeper, almost otherworldly. I looked at her, trying to understand, but her eyes were fixed on the trees ahead. "There's something I need to see. Something important." Before I could respond, the forest around us seemed to pulse, the air growing heavier with energy. The glowing in her skin intensified, casting strange patterns of light in the clearing. I could feel the hair on the back of my neck stand on end as the world around us seemed to shift, as though something was watching us from the shadows. I swallowed hard, my heart racing. "Lyra, we don't know what this is. We don't know what's out there." But she didn't hear me. She was too focused on whatever it was that was drawing her in. And I realized, with a sinking feeling, that she wasn't just following some instinct. She was being called, pulled by something beyond her control. "Lyra," I said, my voice firm now, "we need to go. We can't stay here." But she didn't move. Instead, she stepped forward, deeper into the shadows of the trees. "I have to," she said softly. "I have to find out what this is." I watched her, torn between fear and a desire to protect her, but I knew there was no turning back now. Whatever was drawing her into the forest, whatever was waiting for us, we would face it together. We moved deeper into the forest, the air growing thicker with each step. Lyra's skin was glowing brighter now, casting strange, shifting patterns of light around us. I could feel the tension rising in the air, the sense of being watched becoming more intense. Every rustle of the leaves, every whisper of the wind seemed to hold some sort of hidden meaning. Lyra walked ahead, almost as if drawn by an invisible force, her expression focused, her steps deliberate. I followed, my heart pounding in my chest. "Lyra, this isn't safe," I said, my voice tight with concern. But she didn't respond, her eyes fixed on something in the distance, something I couldn't see. It was like she was hearing something I couldn't, feeling something I didn't. The further we went, the more the forest seemed to close in on us. The trees grew taller, their branches twisting into strange shapes, blocking out the sky above. It felt like we were walking into a dream, or perhaps a nightmare, where the rules of reality no longer applied. I glanced around, the unsettling feeling growing stronger with each step. "What are you feeling?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm, though the unease in my chest was making it harder to breathe. Lyra stopped and turned to face me, her silver eyes glowing even more brightly in the dim light of the forest. "It's here," she whispered, as though speaking to herself. "I know it. I can feel it." I looked around, but there was nothing in sight, nothing but the towering trees and the thick shadows between them. I could feel the air shift, and for a brief moment, I thought I saw something move in the corner of my eye. But when I looked, it was gone. I took a step toward her, trying to reach her, to pull her away from whatever was calling to her. "Lyra, we need to go. Please," I said, my voice now more desperate. But she didn't move. Instead, she stood still, her head tilted slightly, as if listening for something I couldn't hear. "Jake," she said softly, her voice barely a whisper. "You need to trust me." I froze. I wasn't sure what was happening anymore. I had trusted her since the moment we met, but this was different. This was something beyond both of us, something that I couldn't control. "Trust you?" I repeated, my voice low. "What are you talking about?" She turned to face me fully, her expression softening. "I know this is hard to understand. But I have to do this. I have to know what's happening to me, Jake. I can feel it inside, and I think this place holds the answers." I wanted to argue, to pull her away from whatever it was that was calling her, but I knew she wasn't going to leave. She was determined, and I couldn't stop her. But there was fear in her eyes now, a fear that matched my own. What if it's dangerous? I asked, my voice trembling slightly. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked down at her hands, the faint glow still pulsing from her skin. I don't know, she whispered. But I have to find out. I stood there. For a moment, watching her, torn between wanting to protect her and knowing that this was something she had to face on her own terms. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what was happening to her or why she was being drawn to this place. But I knew one thing, I wasn't going to let her go through this alone. I'll be here, I said finally, my voice steady. Whatever happens, I'll be right here. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and something deeper. Thank you, Jake, she whispered. And then, without another word, she turned and walked further into the forest. I followed her, step by step, unsure of what lay ahead, but knowing that together, we would face whatever was coming. The trees parted ahead, revealing a strange, glowing structure in the distance. It was unlike anything I had ever seen, glowing softly with an otherworldly light, as if waiting for us. Lyra stopped in front of it, her face a mix of awe and fear. It's here, she whispered again, her voice barely audible. I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on us. Whatever this place was, whatever secrets it held, we were about to find out.